In Matthew 5, Jesus, he's talking to his disciples, and he says, "You are the light of the world. A city built on the hill cannot be hidden." And as I pondered that passage for us today, I couldn't help but be reminded of a story I heard years ago about a gentleman named Fritz Kreisler. He was a famous violinist and played in many places throughout Europe and in the world, and composed quite a bit of music. And just a famous guy. But not only was he famous for the music that he played, he was famous for his, I'm going to say, his faith. He was known as a very generous man, that he had become very wealthy because of his music, but he gave most of that money away and just kept an amount to exist on. Well, the story goes that he was touring in Europe, and as part of his time in Europe during the day when he wasn't performing, he liked going to music stores and looking at the different instruments and talking to the sales associates there. And he goes into this music store, and on the display is one of the most beautiful violins he's ever seen in his life. And just his eyes, as he latched onto it, he knew that this violin would play beautiful music, that this was, he wanted that violin. And so obviously he asked how much, and because he was a man who gave away most of his wealth, he didn't have enough money to purchase it at the time. And so he saved his money up to buy it, and as he toured back through the town, he goes straight to the music store to buy the violin. And you can guess what happened there. The store manager said, "So sorry, we sold it to a collector." And he was crushed by that. But the manager said, "Here's his address, and perhaps you can talk to this guy and purchase from him." And so he takes off, tracks the home, the collector down, goes to the home, introduces himself and says, I want to purchase that violin from you. And the collector said, "No, this is gorgeous, so beautiful, and I want people who come to visit at parties at my house to see this displayed in my case with the other instruments that I've collected." And Kreisler was just heartbroken to hear that, and he couldn't convince this collector to let go of it. And he said, "All right," he said, "but will you allow me, before this is silenced forever, this violin, would you allow me to play it just one more time?" And so he plays he's allowed, he plays the music, and it just, the music just stirs this collector's heart. And as he finishes the music, the collector says, "Oh, this is so wonderful." He says, "I give you this violin. This violin must be heard. So please go out into all the world and let anyone hear the music that comes from this instrument. It can't be silenced." So you see where I am reminded of that story, as Jesus tells us we are the light of the world. A city built on the hill can't be hidden. This is Jesus talking to us as disciples, saying, we have received his salvation. We have received the gospel message. And for us to live a life where we store this message that's been put in our hearts, this salvation that's been put in our hearts, is what a horrible thing, that we can't do that we need to be God's instrument, that God should, we lay our life down for him to use to testify to his love and his grace, and how important it is that we be that message bearer. And so I'd like us to ponder that today, to maybe look at Matthew 5 again, that passage, I believe it's 14. You are the light of the world. And think about what Jesus is saying there. Maybe in our prayer time we can ask, "Lord, what can I do this week? Can you give me an opportunity to testify to your grace today. Let me be a witness for you. I do not wish, Lord, to be silent ever. Let me be a living testimony to you. We'll go in God's peace and share his good news. We'll talk to you later. Have a great week. Bye now.